Hey guys, today I'm going to share a message with you. It's going to be a message that really comes against the whole world, and that including myself. Um, but the Lord tells us, woe to the world, for offenses must come, and woe to that person who is offended by the word. And yeah, this isn't meant to be a a negative message. It's not, it's meant, the truth shall set you free, but it's really just a message to show you just how much forgiveness we have been forgiven. And if you are offended by anything that I say, first and foremost, my heart goes out to you, because I know, how sharp God's words can be, and that conviction can hurt. It's just like, stab, cutting away of the flesh in that sense. But don't just turn your back. And I ask you not to turn your back on what I'm saying, and just truly pray about it, and get in the Word yourself, and see what God is telling you, and not just listening to me. So, with that said, I'm really the topic that I'm getting into is going to be sin, and really just the depths of sin, how deep our sin really goes, and I know I don't even have a full understanding, I know that I'm sure that it goes even deeper than what I'm going to explain here. So just listen, learn, and grow, and and uh, and practice. That's all I could really ask for. Um, but man, I'm just gonna start off with the bang. If you think you're better than somebody else, if you think you're better than anybody, or better than everybody else, or just somebody, um, then woe needs to be you. You need to check yourself, and really evaluate your life, and and if you don't think you're as good as someone else, you know, um, man, the Lord doesn't want you to not feel joy, in your life. So, understand, Apostle Paul, who sought out to kill Christians, was the greatest apostle there ever was. So, don't think, that you're not as good as somebody else. Because just because maybe someone's better than you at one thing doesn't mean that you're not better than them at something else. So, we put an emphasis on professionals, and people that go to school and get college degrees, and all that's great, but that doesn't make them better than anybody else. It doesn't mean that they're smarter than anybody else. They may know more about one specific job or one specific skill set, um, but that doesn't mean that they overall know more about life, and and other areas. So don't count yourself don't count yourself out if you don't think that you're better than somebody, or if you don't think you're as good as somebody. The Lord doesn't want you, first off, exalting yourself above others, but nor does He want you to feel like you're not as good as anybody else, either. He doesn't want you to be depressed. He doesn't, He wants you to have joy in your life. He does want you to have a humble spirit. Um, so that is kind of the message. And so if you think you're better than somebody else, then you truly need to listen to this. And if you don't think you're as good as somebody else, then you truly need to listen to this. So, um, I'm just going to start off with, if you think that you're better than somebody, well, know that you yourself are a murderer. So, um, and so how is that? Every single one of us. There's not a single person on this earth that isn't a murderer. And I will explain in many ways. Um, and most of you, I'm sure, can think of at least one way. But you may say, oh, but I don't have. There's no blood on my hands, and well, that's the Pharisee mentality. But no, your sin, any sin, uh, which is a separation of Christ, whatever your sin is the reason why Jesus died on the cross. So as a result of our sin, our sin is what killed him. So you have to understand, he endured all temptations. He went through all the same temptations. He was tempted in all ways, just as we are when we're here on earth, except he, he never failed. He made it through without sin. So he truly was an innocent and blameless person, and he truly was undeserving of death, versus where we all are. We all do deserve death. We are all to blame. But he did that so that we have a chance, so that we can be saved. So understand that, whether you've lied, whether you've cheated, stolen, whatever sin you've done or you have, then you've, killed Jesus. You are a part of that. So, and I find myself guilty. I had found myself guilty of, of thinking like, man, who could have, killed him with their bare hands? Who could have, beaten him to death? And, but in all reality, it's no different than our sin. He died because of our sin. Otherwise, then his death would have been, in vain. It would have been meaningless. So, first off and foremost that you are a murderer, and so am I. So, if you think you're better than someone who has killed somebody, well, keep that in mind. There's many other ways that we have committed murder. Most people are against abortion. And we have the great case, Roe versus Wade, that hopefully will overturn. But man, how did we let it even get that far to begin with? That's what's crazy. And just those that are for abortions, you're murdering innocent babies. It is a life. It will be a life. Now, those of you who are against abortion and you think that you're better than that person that is for abortion, well, then ask yourself, is birth control any better? Is taking a life or preventing a life better? You're preventing a life being born that was meant to be born. So you have to ask yourself, and answer to yourself. You don't have to tell me what you think. I know what I believe, and preventing a life is no better than taking a life. It was still meant to be a life. You're trying to take power and control into your own hands and away from God in that sense. And you have to sit there and consider, you know, why did God tell us to not have sex until marriage? Because if we would have obeyed that, then then preventing life would have not been necessary. We wouldn't have needed condoms. We wouldn't have needed birth control. We wouldn't have needed all this stuff to prevent life from being born, which eventually is the you know gateway to, you call it a gateway drug to abortion, and how we got to accepting abortion, because it first started off small, like, condoms and birth control and things of that nature, and now, as that became more acceptance, then so did, eventually abortion was able to become accepted to some. So, think about that, and ask yourself. It's one of the things that is pretty much, gone in the world today, and that's, saving yourself for marriage. It was, when I, growing up as a child, that just never seemed like, it just wasn't a thing, and you just don't see it. It's very rare, very rare. But you have to ask yourself, why? Why did God say to do that? Well, because there's a lot of destruction that can take place if you don't. And there's just in multiple ways. Division of family, and child support, and just all kinds of things that can cause problems because of us not behaving, because of us not listening to our Father, and He's trying to bring joy to our life, but yet we just continue to open the door for evil opportunities, for bad things to happen. So, I can go into more and more depth about that, but I think you pretty much are going to get the idea, the point, the main meat of that. And if you have questions, don't ever be shy. Just, you can privately message me, and I'll be more happy to help answer any questions you may have, or thoughts, because we're here to learn and grow together. So, the next topic I want to talk about, if you think you're better than a drug addict, someone who is on meth, or whatever the drugs may be, any hard drugs, but yet you get drunk all the time. Drinking is a drug. Yeah, maybe it's not as severe, as far as it's not as harmful to your body, immediately, but it is still harmful to your body. It still lets your guard down. It still causes you to just kind of, it's okay, and just kind of forget about everything, and just let your guard down. Put your beer goggles on, so to speak, and that causes a lot of destruction is able to happen through that as well. And they just one night stands, and that's causing division of families, and causing divorces, and get drinking and driving, causing accidents, accidentally killing somebody else. And there's just the list goes on and on of problems that cause abusive behavior. There's a lot that can go on about that. But say you don't struggle with alcohol, and yet now you think you're better than a drug addict. Then, well, what about caffeine? Because caffeine is a drug. You can Google it, and it'll tell you just straight on Google. It is. I've done a lot of research when it comes to the caffeine, because that was a stronghold for me. That was something that definitely was hard to break, and I've been doing good so far, and I hope to stay strong, and pray for me about it, please. And and I don't feel the urge to need it or want it anymore. But that can change overnight. So please pray for me about that, and continuing to stay strong, and not and just staying away from it. Um, and it's, don't get me wrong. It can be used in out of self control. If you do have a have a headache, for a day or something, and you could drink a little bit of coffee or something to get rid of it, you know, then I don't see a problem with that, because part of the fruit of the spirit is self control. So as long as it's not controlling you, and you have to have it in order um, to feel good every day. You know, what are the things that you must have when you wake up in order for your day to go smooth, in order for your day to be good? Those are your strongholds. Um, if it's, that is, he tells us, God tells us to be aware of the enemy's vices. And that's a vice. If you have to rely on it every day, that's a vice. So beware of those vices. And if you think like, oh, I don't have to have it every day, well, that's fine. And then just test yourself in that. Try going without it for a month and see, and then you can make sure. Um, but and there's a difference. Like I said, there's a difference if you're trying to get away from caffeine and you're having the headaches because you've been addicted to it, versus you just have a headache one day and you drink a cup of coffee. So if you're trying to get away from it, then don't just fall back into it. So, but I've done a lot of research with that, and it causes your adrenal gland to go into overload, and eventually your adrenal gland gets fatigued. So if you're always feeling tired, that might be a cause. That might be a reason why. Um, it's your adrenal gland produces your hormones, and to give make your body feel good, and give your body proper energy. So when that is fatigued, then your body's no longer allowed to produce the hormones it's supposed to, and sorry, and and then your body's not feeling good. You're feeling tired. You're fatigued. So I've and talk even if you look up caffeine, and how to what to do, how to wean yourself off of it. It tells you, don't just quit cold turkey. If you can, and you can withstand the pounding headaches that you're going to get, and you're strong enough to just get through that for a few days, then that's great. But if not, it tells you, hey, cut your dose down by like 10 milligrams a day until you are eventually down to no caffeine in a day. Because it does. If you go, Google it, look it up, do your own research, but it calls it withdrawals just because it is a drug. And those withdrawals can last from 2 to 9 days. So just check it out. If you don't believe me, then look it up for yourself. So caffeine is a drug. Yeah, it may not be near as harmful to your body as some of the others, but it still is, and it's still a vice. Um, so, and if it's altering your mind, giving you headaches, making you moody, giving you bad, making you angry, and bad attitude towards others, then that truly is separating you from Christ. This fly is not leaving me alone. So the so it is becoming a separation. That's which is sin, and it doesn't matter to what degree. Just you have to be very aware and careful. So with that said, if you go to Galatians 5:19 and 5:20, it tells you, a lot of the ways in which, a lot of the characteristics of people that will not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Like drunkards and murderers and like all this stuff. And two of the words it uses, it says sorcery and witchcraft. Those are the two I'm going to focus on for the drug purposes. Sorcery and witchcraft. If you look in the Greek, those words is pharmakia. So, if you caught that, yes, pharmakia is the Greek word. So, just very close to pharmaceuticals. And your pharmacy, they call them drugs as well. So anything that is mind altering is considered sorcery or witchcraft. So caffeine, if it's making you moody or you have to have it, that's altering your mind. So same with antidepressants. Same with any medicine that if you're taking medicine to solve your problems in life, to heal your hurt, to make yourself numb to the pain, that is not fixing your problem. In fact, it's just making it worse. A lot of studies, and you can do your own, but with depression medication. People that get put on it over time, they end up having to take more because their body starts getting immune to it, and then they have to take more, and eventually they get to the max dose that they can take, and then the state of that person becomes worse than what it was to begin with, and a lot of times people end up taking their lives. So please, don't just disregard everything I'm saying, and do your own research and your own studies, just listen to the truth in God's word and why he tells us, why he's trying to protect us. That's all it is. God loves us, and he is the truth. He is the way. He is the life. So just knowing that, maybe just as children, we didn't always understand why our parents told us to do things. So too with God. We are his children, and we don't always understand why he tells us to do things. But one thing's for certain, and that's we know his love. And we don't have to have understanding to know that he loves us. We can see that. He's proven that. And, with that said, then you have to trust in him and put your whole trust in the Lord and believe what he says. Just the very fact that he walked on earth and endured all the temptations, the same temptations that we endure, and he did not fail, but yet he had to die for me and you. I feel obligated to have to follow in his footsteps. I want I want to follow in his footsteps. I want to do good. I want to stay away from temptations. I want to not fail. And I just want to listen to His word and the way He tells us to go. Just because I can see His truth, I can see His love and what He tells us. So just remember, you don't have to understand all of His word to understand that He loves us. And what's better? Is it better to be obedient and not understand why He's telling us to follow, these directions, and be obedient because we know He loves us? Or is it better to be disobedient so we can learn and find out the hard way why He told us to follow these directions? Because I've done a lot of learning the hard way, and then I guess I've just gotten to my point where I'm done learning the hard way, and I'm not saying that I won't fail and that I won't make mistakes, but I want to minimize them as much as possible. So I hope that everybody else feels the same way. That you're just tired of failing and getting hurt all the time, and truly want to seek the truth and love and following the directions that our Lord gives us. So, that. So I've talked about, murder and all the ways that's possible, and I've talked about drugs and all the ways that that's possible, and there's gluttony, there's all kinds of things that we put before the Lord, and that's sin to us. So let's just start with your work ethic, your workplace. What are you working so hard for? Are you working so hard to get the things that you want and desire? Nice clothes, fancy cars and houses. Or are you working hard, you getting those things to want to, look good, make your image look good, be successful. You want to feel successful to the world's eyes. What is the reasoning for your working hard? Are you working hard to honor the Lord? And I'm not. Once again, I'm not saying you can't have nice things, because you very, very much can. It's just not putting those things before the Lord and separating yourself, allowing those things to separate you and Christ. Because often, a lot of times, people will not honor the Sabbath day. They won't, take a day of rest, and they'll just work, and try to make money. And man, that is not that's not a good priority. It's not a good work-life balance. The Lord does tell us to work heartedly as unto Him. So that means to work with your whole heart. Be a good witness in your workplace, and part of that is working hard and not playing the system, not just trying to get away with things. So that, a lot of people recognize talent, just like a lot of people recognize hard work. And I said that backwards, but you get the point. And and what do what is your main goal? What are your priorities? So those are things you must ask, because are you allowing things of this world to get between you and the Lord? And because a lot of people do. So with that said, a lot of people are probably asking, well, who can make it into heaven? With everything that I just said. And my answer is going to be what the Bible tells us, what Lord tells us, and that is that with man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. So what well so what does that mean? Which we know the things that he tells us we must do in order to be saved and in order to make it into the kingdom. So we must believe unto righteousness. That's first step. Put all our trust in the Lord. Believe unto righteousness. That's what that is. And righteousness is Jesus, is the Word. In the beginning, the Word the Word was with God. The Word was God. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. But then the Word became flesh. That flesh being Jesus. So Jesus is righteous, just like His Word is righteous. So we must believe in all of the Word, not just some of it. He even tells us that we can't live off bread alone. We must have bread and meat. So we have we must live off all of the Word is what he says. Not just the bread. So, anyway, yeah. So we have to believe in all of the Word. Without believing in all of the Word, we have no foundation. When you want to start saying this doesn't apply to me and this and that, you're forming the Bible to the way you want it to be. You're making it to your benefit, your agenda, to the way you want it to be. And that is a Pharisee type mentality. That is not the way it's designed. The Word is the Word, and when it comes against you, then we are to be humble as children. He tells us that unless we become like children, then we will by no means enter into the kingdom of heaven. What does that mean? That means we must be moldable, we must be teachable, and we must have a humble spirit. So when we get proven by Scripture, by the Word, that what we believe is wrong, then we should be all acceptant, all hearing, all ears. Our ears should always be open, and when you can be proven that your ways are not righteous according to the Word, then you should be humble enough and say, you're right. I see this now. I didn't see it correctly before, but I see it now. So we must have a humble spirit. We must become like children, in that and then not just that. It's not all even just that's not the end of it. It's not we don't just become like children, and become careless in that sense of we just don't care about our image, but yet we have no action. So what I'm saying is, you don't just say, "Yeah, you're right, I'm wrong," but then you continue to live the way you are living. You don't you don't have any action. You don't make any corrections. That is not a heart for the Lord. It's not just a confession. Oh, it's not just confession with the mouth. You must repent and turn away from your sin. So it's when the word comes against you and you see that clearly, then you want to turn away from it. Now, are we gonna get it right? Are we gonna be perfect at it? No, we're not. But like I said, when a group of counselors can show you that what you're doing is wrong, and you don't have and I mean this according to the word, and you can't show them that they're wrong according to the word, then that means you need to be humble and admit that you're wrong. And you know it's about action. Um, Turning, like I said, it's not just a confession. So I lost my train of thought there. Please forgive me. But I'm sorry. Um, Now, just know that you must be humble and be like children. Not just confess that what you did is wrong, but turn away from it and truly have a heart for the Lord and admit, not just admit your wrongs, but show action too. Um, and just you should always be open ears. And there's one key point that I was gonna share with you, and I'm trying to think about it. So give me just a moment. I said a quick, a sudden brain fart, I guess. Um, hmm. Well, I can't think of it actually. So I think I pretty much concluded everything that the main points that I was wanting to conclude for this. I appreciate your time. If you take your time to watch this video, um, like I said, it's not meant to hurt anybody. Just meant to open your eyes, show how much is forgiven, and to show you that you're just that we're not better or worse than others, but you know we just we need to look for the joy in our life and stop living for the things that are robbing the joy out of our life. Um, yeah. Well, I apologize if there's something that I missed. I'll rewatch the video, and if there is a key point that I missed, I'll try to update it. So I feel like there was something that I was missing that I was going to share, and I don't know how I just lost my complete train of thought. So thank you, and I hope you guys have a good day.